Rising tensions in the occupied West Bank is a major barrier to any hopes of peace. And in the last month alone, more than 140 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli settler violence and Israeli raids. The occupied West Bank is a Palestinian territory that has been under Israeli occupation since the 1960s. There are thought to be more than 700,000 Israeli settlers living in the West Bank in nearly 300 settlements. And despite being considered illegal under international law, the Israeli government plans to build even more settlements there. Our global security editor, Rohit Kadru, heard the views of Jewish Israelis at one illegal settlement on the West Bank and a warning his report contains some distressing details.
We can measure the road in miles or in centuries. But either way, it's a long way to the settlement to which we've been invited. Arabic words have been removed nearby, but a few of the residents don't want to stop there. We meet Benjamin at the gate, who finds the time around his full-time job to guard the community of a few dozen families.
The video.
When he takes us to his home, he shares the story of what happened to his wife Esther, murdered 3 years ago by a Palestinian man in an anti-Semitic attack.
This was on a trip we did in 2020, a few months before her murder. It's in Rio de Janeiro, in Brazil, on the beach of Copacabana. Yeah.
How do you feel watching this back?
I miss her. I miss her very much.
He says the community here needs to protect itself.
Post-mortem let's say checks that were done, actually all of her ribs were broken, her arms were broken, and he finally killed her by using a big rock and smashed her head in. Very, very difficult.
From here they can see the villages and the walls of the West Bank. But seen from there, this is an estate which shouldn't exist. In fact, many countries think settlements like this are illegal under international law.
International law is just like international agreements between countries in foundation like UK.
But
and
also conventions to which many more than 100 countries are signed up to.
And it's nothing like standard law.
He says the images from Gaza don't upset him.
This way, I don't have any empathy for them.
Not for kids? Not for kids in the hospitals?
What is this kid? This kid, if he has a father, his father was killing us in all this, the civilian population in Gaza support Hamas, elect them,
but we know
participate in the horror.
Last week, over the course of an afternoon, we watched as a Palestinian community in the West Bank was dismantled. Farmland cleared and final prayers. The residents said they were forced out by the vigilante violence of Israeli settlers who turned up and gave them a deadline to leave their land. At the settlement, residents told me that so-called settler violence is a myth.
We've also seen Palestinian families being moved out of their home, packing up their things just last week, not far away from here.
Because they want to immigrate, because...
They say they were forced off their land.
They want to immigrate. I encourage that they will immigrate, because this is not their land, this is our land.
They have created a sense of quiet suburbia here, but there is no sense of peace. Rohit Kadru, ITV News in the West Bank.